Alright, so this is the Unrest build based on the Estate of Unrest from EverQuest 1. I've tried to find a spot that looks similar to Dagner's Cauldron in EQ1 for the entrance, and so let's go ahead and take a quick run through. There may be some people in here looking around, but that'll be okay. So I tried to pattern this zone in the same way that the EQ1 entrance was done, or at least a similar way, because of the layout of the claim system in Landmark. It's not possible to directly reflect every single aspect of what was in the original EverQuest game, but as you can see, I've done my best to mimic the walls and the layout. We've got a maze here that, again, because of the way that the claim systems are laid out, we can't have the whole thing in this one in this one on this one level, but we can create a space where people can think that they're traveling a long distance by using the vertical aspect of the claims to kind of fake it out. So that's what we're doing now, is we're traversing vertically through the claim system so that we can feel like we've gone through the maze and come out the other side, and here's the house. And so there's the gazebo that we know and love from EQ1. And then a little outdoor pond area with the hidden room, which has been modified a little bit. You can see we've got some bats in there. They're going crazy. And we'll go ahead and take a look down there and see what that room looks like. So here's that room. So I've tried to capture the major aspects of the original to try to stay as true to the original as possible. And now we can go take a look inside the house and see just what has been done in here. So one thing that always irritated me about games whenever they updated games, created new games, is that they tended to change the zones in the updates quite a bit from the original. And I kind of like the original. So what I've tried to do is take the original layout and simply recreate it with a little bit more imagination, using the updated textures that we have available, but remaining true to the original layout of the place. Because I think it was fun, it was a good layout, and it really just kind of made it interesting. And so we've got some functionality for these rooms that, in the original didn't have that much functionality. They were just kind of rooms. Now we've put some things in them to help make them look like they do things, like they're part of something. You can see this stove actually works. I can turn these burners on and off. And I can look inside here. You can see there's a big roast cooking inside there. So here's the main kitchen area. And kind of a, not really sure, I guess this would be a formal hall, foyer. And so here's the back patio area. It's got a little bar and a little area for sitting, and there's a little patio out here on the back. And this room that used to just be nothing in the original game, I've converted it into a bathroom. It's got stalls, and you can go in the stalls. I'm not going to. And then a big urinal. And here's the ballroom. So we can see the back of the house. And there's lots more to see here. So we'll go through the ballroom. And there's this little room, which was also nothing, just kind of a little alcove. We've put a little register and a coat check area. So there's a hanger system, and you can put your coats up on there. And just to complete the first floor, we've got a little storage room over here. So there's all kinds of junk stored in here. And then we've got the room that everybody knows and loves that leads to the basement. And we'll check that out in just a few minutes. But first, let's go upstairs. And we'll go this way first. So here's the little room where the ghoul used to live. And we've got the little torture rooms, just like they had. And in this area where Crick's Fritchoff and I think a skeleton used to live behind over there. And Crix and his pet lived in here. And this room is still nothing. Probably need to put some decorations in here at some point, but that's alright. We'll go check out this room here. I forget who exactly lived up here. One of the named ghouls. I can't remember which one it was now. I think it was a necromancer or something or other. Anyway, there's the fireplace. And some bookshelves. Pretty proud of those bookshelves there. They were kind of hard to do, but not really hard to do. They were just interesting to build. Fun to build. And that's the back of the house, just like we've already been down there. So here's the undead barkeep area with the undead barkeep. So this room reimagined is more like a, I guess you'd call it like a comedy club or a social club, some kind of a place like that. Um, and then we'll go up here. This is the room where there were 3 mobs stationed up here, and sometimes they were werebats and sometimes they were hags. Um, but now they're pool tables. So I imagine that this is kind of what they would have been doing, or what they might have used these rooms for um, prior to all the people dying and becoming monsters, or having monsters invade and take over everything. So we've got one area left to look at. That's on this side, and this is just the same kind of tower as was on the other side, just like they did in the original. And this room was not in the original, but it's kind of a bonus room that I had the space, and so I put it in there. And here was one of the rooms that was in the original. I believe it was a broken bed in there. We have a new bed. And so everybody always asks me, where was the hand? And the hand was up here, but not in this part of the room. This was a room where there were some skeletons, and the bed was over in that corner over there. Um, but, you know, we take a creative license. This is the room where the hand actually was, where the hand spawned. And so it was kind of a library type room, and I've made a pass-through fireplace in here because I figured, you know, if you're living in the penthouse up on the top, and you probably have a pretty nice, you know, nice little ante-room and a bedroom up here on the top, so you can look out on all of your property from up here, and you can run around. And you notice that I've taken a lot of pains to create the same, practically the same exact layout as was in the original. And I, in fact, um, ran around in the original for hours just to make sure that everything was more or less angled the same way and had at least the same at least a semblance of the same look and feel, um, even though it's updated just a little bit. So now we'll head downstairs and take a look at the basement real quick. Now, the basement hasn't had as much time devoted to it as the rest of the house has, but this should look familiar to anybody who's played the original EverQuest and been in the original Unrest zone. So obviously, for this game, the dimensions of things are kind of expanded a little bit. And, you need a little bit more room to run around and do things. But we can still more or less recreate the same type of atmosphere as was in the original. So here we've got all the little stations that were in the original, and some jump scare things just for effect, so that we have something that kind of we can turn those areas off too. You can't see them. They kind of break the effect a little bit, right? But yeah, so One thing they don't have in the game yet is non-collidable walls, so I've had to improvise a solution. It looks like that is broken again. You shouldn't be able to see that. Let's see. Go ahead and fix that. All right. So that's just a behind-the-scenes thing. That's so I can get back there and make sure that some of the special effects props are working the way that they're supposed to. Here's our traps on either side. And again, they don't have the non-collidable invisible or non-collidable walls, so it makes it kind of hard to do the traps properly. But we've done our best to make sure that they work right. And again, there's not a whole lot of decoration down here because, in fact, there's no decoration down here because I just haven't had the time or the energy to do it yet. But the space is laid out. So we've got the pit where the hags would live. We've got the same little bridge that kind of just floated in the air. And at some point, if they ever give us any kind of enemy NPCs or anything like that that we can actually use to make some of this stuff a little bit more interesting, then I'll certainly be putting those things down here and making this a more robust experience for anybody who wants to enjoy it. So that is the house. And some of the things that we still would like to have again are the non-collidable walls. We want to have some NPCs so that we can be able to place mobs and things in here so that there's actually something to do inside these builds. Otherwise, it's just kind of building cool things that look really nice, and but otherwise are not really functional. So that's it. Thanks for watching.